The 11 Plus is no more. The last ever paper for that particular transfer test was sat on Friday. But by the time pupils receive their results in February, will we be any clearer about what's going to replace it? I went to Ballynahinch to speak with school principals, a parent, a pupil and a teacher about how they're dealing with an uncertain future.
Well, I don't know where I'm going, but I sure know where I've been.
My efforts have been met by those who have a preference for the absence of law, the absence of permanent clarity and certainty. And now I am asked, because of an uncertainty that I've striven to avoid and resolve, to tolerate and extend the status quo that has so miserably failed the majority of our children.
For Katrina Ruan and many others, the 11 Plus itself is failing the all-important equality test. She believes the test discriminates against children from disadvantaged areas, and some of the statistics appear to back her up. In the leafy suburbs, the vast majority of children transfer to grammars. It's a different story, though, in the inner city, where it's more like 1 in 5 children. Katrina Ruan isn't the first education minister who has sought to end academic selection at age 11. She is the first, however, to end the officially administered test. Friday's was the last. Under the minister's plans, children will no longer have to face this gruelling exam. The hated test is gone and is to be replaced with a test. Under the Education Minister's proposals, in 2010, half of all pupils could be selected using the new test. In 2011, that proportion will drop to 30%. By 2012, just 20% of pupils could be selected using the replacement test. And by 2013, academic selection will have disappeared entirely. So, a future with no academic selection. Oh, were it that simple. And the reason it's not simple is because although the minister has the power to abolish the official test, without DUP agreement, she doesn't have the power to abolish academic selection. She doesn't even have the power to introduce the new test she's talked about. Meanwhile, the grammar schools do have the power to introduce tests, and most of them are. The minister can issue guidelines, but they're not binding.
I will, in the absence of political agreement, act. I am duty-bound to do so. Parents, teachers and politicians have clearly stated that they require, as soon as possible, admissions criteria for transfer 2010. In the absence of political agreement, I will provide such criteria. Then we may get fair and long-lasting certainty.
But in Ballynahinch, where we spoke to a principal, parent, pupil and teacher at St Patrick's Primary, the only certainty was confusion about what the future holds. What's your favourite subject?
History. Because you learn about animals, and I really like animals, and you learn about dinosaurs and Vikings and Egyptians and people who lived long ago.
What are your teachers telling you at the moment about P7?
There might not be any 11 plus next year.
What sort of information would you like your teachers to be able to tell you at the moment?
That if we're doing a test, then when will it be?
Personally, I'm against the 11 plus because I don't feel that children at 10 or 11 are ready for such the amount of pressure that goes on the children. I feel that if they were going to abandon the 11 plus, they should have had another test or process put in place before. So they should have said, we're going to abandon the 11 plus in 2010 and this is what's going to happen, and not as we are at the moment, uncertain as what's going to happen or what the children are going to do.
I think the biggest challenge we have this year facing us is the uncertainty of what's really going to happen next year. This test that these children will have to do at some stage, those that want to go to grammar school, we don't yet know what this test is going to be. We've no guidance for this test yet. We don't know the level of questions. We don't know when the test will take place. We don't know where the test will take place. So those are uncertainties.
Naturally, there's a certain amount of apprehension about in terms of some of the things that are out there at the moment. Is there an exam? Is the transfer disappearing? What's taking its place? Will my child suffer? And all of that. And we attempt to reassure parents that whatever happens in the future, that we can guarantee them that their children will leave as well-rounded human beings, prepared for the next step of their education.
Playtime's over for the Education Minister as the effects of a total lack of consensus become clearer. The education system itself is dazed and confused as it heads towards this unregulated future. The Grammars are in open rebellion with the Minister, and it's an attitude that's spreading into the primary sector. At Ballinhinch Primary, the principal is adamant that he'll prepare children for whatever tests follow, official or otherwise, and he's critical of those who seek to minimise the problem he faces.
It's not a small issue for us because in this area it would appear that the existing grammar schools will have their own entrance exam. So it obviously is a big issue for us. And I know the Minister does not wish us to prepare children for those types of exams. But I also know that the Department of Education has always said primary schools should not prepare classes for the existing transfer procedure. And I think it would be naive of anybody to believe that that's actually the case.
They don't have too many blackboards left in schools these days. This is the very latest interactive whiteboard. Yes, change is everywhere. And the reason change is coming is because the Minister believes it's an issue of social equality. She tells us that under the 11 plus, only 20% of children from the New Lodge go to grammar school and only 22% of children from Rathcoole. But under the new unregulated system that's on its way, will that be any better? That remains the unanswered question.